Hey guys, Sundan here. This is giving me my chapter review to Nanatsu no Taizai, or the Seven Deadly Sins, chapter 340, otherwise known as 340. I miss you. Now, when you think about it, nothing much happened this chapter. I'm both annoyed and happy with the return of the villain, but let's get down to it. This is going to be an old school style review, with most of my points already pre-thought of, preconceived, and I'm just going to run through the chapter without going through it page by page. So where do we start? Let's call the first scene essentially Sin's return to Lioness. So what happens in this scene? Well, the Sins return to Lioness, spoiler alert, and everyone's surprised, but the Sins and Elizabeth are more concerned about the fact that Merlin's not there with them, and neither is Arthur. Meliodas, however, says that Merlin is probably happy to be where she's at right now, regardless of having been separated from her friends and her lifelong crush. And Ban is not really berates, that's the word I'm going to use. It's not really a berate, it's more he just kind of questions Meliodas' tone. But I'll say berates Meliodas for assuming that Merlin is happy with all of this, saying this isn't how Meliodas would usually react to a situation like this. But my kind of response to Bond's reaction was Merlin chose this, right? Merlin has, if anything, she's put herself in this situation. She has dug her own grave, made her own bed, all that same shit. And whether she's happy or not, Meliodas tried to confront her about it. He whether it was trying to help her, whether it was trying to tell her that she was about to do something that she would regret, whatever it was that Meliodas had at heart, he tried to confront her, and she pushed all of them away, quite literally. So for Bond to question Meliodas' casualness suggests that he thinks Meliodas cares enough about Merlin to break his back trying to force her to do something she doesn't really want to do, even though Meliodas was going out of his way to try and at least say something to her. And maybe he's just concerned, Bond, that these events have been triggered possibly because Merlin didn't get the love she was looking for from Meliodas. And this is possibly a concern for Meliodas as well. Like, maybe I didn't, because of the fact that I didn't love her, she's about to go all ape shit. She's about to do shit that she might regret. So that was that first scene. Not really much to talk about. Not much to write home about. The second scene, Merlin and Arthur. We go to Merlin and Arthur, spoiler alert, where Merlin seems mighty proud of this chaos and what it can do, but she's also intrigued by Arthur's sword, which may or may not be Excalibur. So actually, let's talk about that straight away. Seriously, she calls this sword an amorphous holy sword, but is it supposed to be Excalibur? It is supposed to be Excalibur, right? That's what I think. And according to Meliodas, according to Merlin, due to its amorphous nature, she assumes a couple things about this sword. It makes presumptions. They're not really assumptions. I mean, like, assumption would be she has previous knowledge on this thing, so she's based off of this previous knowledge, based off of her previous observations and learnings. This is what she thinks. But these are presumptions. She's never seen this blade. She's never seen a blade do this. Because there's never been another Excalibur or another King of Chaos that she's been in contact with. So this is presumptuous. So she thinks, I think it was between three things. She thinks this can either be the sword's true form. So this is Excalibur taking its true shape. If it is Excalibur, I think it is. Coming together and taking shape by Arthur's will and need. Like, he literally composes his blade in his hand, in his left arm, when he was fighting the Cath Palug. So that's the first thing she thinks. The second thing she thinks, the sword may still change. According to what, though? Does it change according to Arthur's emotion, according to Arthur's strength, according to Arthur's needs? What does it change according to? The third thing she thinks is maybe Arthur's magic isn't fully formed and the blade isn't fully formed as a result of that. So Arthur's magic isn't fully formed and neither is the blade. Anyway, Merlin smiles to herself and she's like, "Coo-hoo-hoo." And I was like, okay. Cool. I just found the cuckoo really weird. But we get some conversation between her and Arthur. Nothing really key. There were a couple things actually that were worth noting and worth mentioning. So Arthur has no idea they're in a castle he created subconsciously. He has to ask, where are we? But I'm gonna say that that's more due to the fact that he was unconscious and he just lost an arm, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in terms of him forgetting the shit he was doing while he was bleeding. Well, he wasn't really bleeding out, but while he was still under the immense stress of having lost a freaking arm. Arthur asks why Merlin never told the Sins about chaos and why she chose to tell them now. Very, very key questions, which she actually proceeds as per usual to not answer. And I say as per usual because her character is the same thing as always. This one-dimensional, this one-dimensional ass being where everything has to be shady, everything is dubious. She avoids the question and asks if Arthur hates her for making him the king of chaos. And I was like, no! Answer the damn question. Like, it's not that hard. Why did you hide this from the Sins, and why did you choose now to tell them of all the other occasions you could have told them, right? There were points in time where they were, you were chilling a bit. You could have told them at that time. They may have even helped you if there had been a reason for them to help you. So why tell them now if you didn't need to? You could have just kept quiet about it, revived me, and not have them know about it. She even actually goes so far as to say she resurrected Arthur as the king of chaos to sate her own curiosity and intrigue and questions and stuff like that, which I think is bullshit, and we'll come back to that in a bit. But Arthur, being the pure-hearted, nimbus-riding fellow he is, completely ignores the fact that she actually says that part and asks why he would hate her. He explains once again how he knows that chaos consists of this darkness that the demons fear, a light the goddesses revere, but it has the power to create everything in existence and everything outside of existence. So long as he has a good heart, he'll be the kind of king that Merlin believed he would be. My issue with this being, we're taking this, take that context, and then you have to also forget the fact that Merlin says she resurrected him for her own gain, suggesting that his kingship over Camelot and mankind was never in her interest, but his kingship over chaos was in her interest. So, what type of king did Merlin want Arthur to be? Was it someone who could rule the humans, someone who could lead the humans and be this kind, loving king who would create a kingdom for mankind, or was it the king of chaos, which he now essentially is, and we don't know what that entails, and we don't know what Merlin wants from that. We don't know what her end goal is yet. So that's a question which needs answering, and it comes back to Merlin's motivations. Anyway, Merlin's surprised and happy with the faith that Arthur has in her, which I feel shows her actual commitment and loyalty to him over what seems to be a joke about why she resurrected him, saying that, it was just to sate my own curiosity. I call bullshit. Key point. Arthur's sword is made up of light and dark winged particles. You see them last chapter, and you see them this chapter flying around the actual blade of the sword. And when he says all this enlightening and warm and fuzzy spiel to Merlin, the dark particles fizzle out and disappear. Does that mean that his blade is now purely a stronger form of the light the goddess is used, and is his power, is whatever this blade is composed of based off of his emotional state? So if he's lacking that darkness, his blade is just pure light. If he's pissed off, does it go completely dark? What is the symbolism here? What's it trying to show? What's it trying to suggest? Is his sword something that takes the shape and will of his emotion? Does that make sense? I hope it made sense. Anyway, the next scene was Sins on the balcony. We go back to the Sins, who are mulling over Merlin's loss on a balcony. Spoiler alert. And the fact that the Sins may have to disband. And Meliodas seems troubled that although he thought he knew Merlin, he obviously didn't know her very well. However, Meliodas does say that their duty has not yet finished, as chaos still exists, and his worry really is that chaos is a power that he and the Sins are completely new to and don't know how to combat. He's also very aware of the fact that Arthur is young and impressionable, as well as quite an emotional person. He worries that Arthur won't be able to exercise complete control over chaos, plunging Britannia into what would be Arthur's own imagining of hell. So Diane then actually says something useful for once, which is, why had Merlin not mentioned chaos before, and why tell the Sins now? And this echoes Arthur's own questions of Merlin, quite literally. Like, he asks the exact same questions. Why had Merlin not mentioned chaos before, and why tell the sins now? What was the benefit of telling the sins at all, if not beforehand? So Meliodas says he doesn't know, to which Garthur suddenly questions Meliodas. He's like, you sure you don't know? Or he says something along those lines, you sure you don't know? Either he's saying Meliodas does know, Meliodas should know, or Garthur knows and is prepared to tell Meliodas what he knows, even though I doubt Garthur would know Merlin's motivations more than Meliodas. But I think he did spend some time in her mind a while back. Anyway, Merlin and Arthur Part 2. This is the next scene. So we go back to the Chaos Duo, where Arthur says he just wants to go back to Camelot. Merlin is about to tell Arthur something important about Camelot. Like, actually, the thing about Camelot is suggesting some ill fate has befallen it. I'm guessing Camelot has been completely eradicated. That's the usual type of response you'd get. And it would serve as actually a really good start for Arthur to use his powers to create a new Camelot, a new kingdom for man, where he would be like lauded as the king, the savior, because he created the kingdom from his own power. That would serve as a good base for that. Anyway, Merlin and Arthur suddenly detect a super high Reiatsu. You see, it's like Ichigo walking into Kenpachi for the first time, and we get quite a cool reintroduction to the Kath Palug in what was quite a menacing fashion. You see the silhouetted head of the Kath Palug with its razor sharp teeth, all jagged and pointing out at awkward angles. Really, really menacing. And it turns out Arthur didn't actually kill Kath, and Kath evolved even more. Kath now, I think, is it he or she? I don't know, but Kath now looks like a jaguar mixed with a lynx. He's absolutely huge with 6 arms, 2 rear legs, and a triple-headed tail. And Merlin goes out to confront the Kath Palug, hopefully about to get her ass kicked. I really do hope that's exactly what happens. And how do I hope, or how do I think this is going to go down from Nakaba's point of view? I think Merlin gets her ass beat. Arthur tries to save her, powers go wild, he loses control. And as shit starts to hit the fan, the sins turn up. Meliodas saves Merlin one more time, causing her to break down, maybe give us some sort of explanation as to why she didn't tell the sins, why now, what her motivations are, what she wants. That's all I really want to know. What do you want? What the hell do you want? Just communicate with me a little bit. What do you actually want from this, Merlin? So, one more thing to address before we go. I was disappointed with the way that the Kath Palug was handled last chapter, especially because I thought Kath Palug was dead. So I'm happy that it's back. It's more powerful. It's going to be a more difficult fight, it looks like, at the least. But I'm also very, very, very wary of Nakaba's tendency with villains of any kind to be defeated and then return, be defeated, come back, be defeated, another comeback. And you're just like, we've had enough of that with the Demon King. We've had enough of that with probably even the Commandments, to be fair. We've had enough of that with freaking everyone for the last arc, and it's been a long arc. It's not even really been an arc, it's been like a saga. And I'm pretty sure my boy Griever would agree with that. Go check out his reviews. You're gonna love them. I'm gonna check his review out after this because I have a feeling I know the way it's gonna go. But yeah, I've had enough of people being defeated and then coming back and being defeated and coming back from a villain's perspective. If you've been killed, die and just stay that way. So I'm a little bit afraid of where Nakaba's gonna take this, and I'm a little bit tense. I'm not sure where this is gonna go, but I doubt Merlin's gonna be able to fully damage the Kath Palug. I doubt Arthur in his state is going to be able to damage Kath Palug. And it actually, another point I'd like to bring out is Garthur's mention of Meliodas not knowing what Merlin what was the point? He didn't know why Merlin would have told them now. We didn't actually ever find out what Meliodas, I don't think we did anyway, what Meliodas's power was when he literally destroyed and dissipated his father's arm in what was it called, Purgatory. So I'd like to find out if that has something to do with chaos, if Meliodas is actually lying to everyone and he knows a little bit more about chaos than he's letting on. That would be, I'm not sure how that would make me feel, because I feel like Meliodas should just come out with the truth if he does know it. But I'm pretty sure we still don't know the actual reason why he was able to able to destroy the Demon King's arm the way he did, in the fashion he did it. So I'm hoping that's explained away somewhere here, but I'm not so sure I'd like the explanation. But that's this chapter. That's my review. Let me know what you guys thought of the review and the chapter. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Go check out Griever's review. Chances are he's going to have some fun with it. I'm going to go check that out too. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I will see you guys in a bit.